I spent a night at a hotel with my grandson while my husband was away. What unfolded was beyond my expectations. Before we embark on this journey, may I pose a personal question to you? From which location are you tuning in? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments section. It fills me with joy to witness our small community unite from various corners of the country. Allow me to transport you to a night that etched itself into my memory with an unexpected clarity. In the stillness of a hotel room, a night unfolded where an unseen shift whispered through the air. A night that continues to echo in my mind. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lisa. At 73, I have always believed that age is merely a figure. One might argue that the journey of learning, growth, and the delightful surprises life offers is a never-ending adventure, particularly at moments when anticipation is absent. Last spring, while my husband Richard was attending a veterans retreat, this story unfolded. Each year he embarks on his journey while I tend to remain in place. Yet on this occasion events took an unexpected turn. My grandson Charles, at the age of 28, extended an invitation for me to join him on a weekend work trip to a coastal town just a few hours from our home. He was occupied with business throughout the day, while I welcomed a change of scenery, a refreshing break from my usual routine. Truly, it resonated with a certain charm. We arrived at a quaint little hotel, characterized by its gentle yellow walls and an abundance of air freshener. Nothing extravagant. Yet, the staff exhibited kindness and the ambience was serene, a quality I valued more than I had initially understood. We had reserved a single room featuring 2 beds. I was indifferent. I don't consider myself high maintenance, and Charles consistently treated me with respect. Delightful. Our bond had deepened since his childhood. I essentially took on the role of caregiver during the long shifts my daughter had to work. He possesses a serene presence, understated yet perceptive, and he consistently instills a sense of safety within me, often without my conscious awareness of that need. After a modest dinner at a seaside seafood shack, we made our way back to the hotel, fatigue from the drive weighing on us both. The room was imbued with a subtle hint of ocean salt, mingling with the familiar aroma of standard hotel linens. The lamp nestled between our beds emitted a gentle, inviting glow. As we both settled into our respective beds, enveloped in a serene silence, I reclined, my gaze fixed on the ceiling fan as it turned languidly, the soft whirring of its blades creating a soothing cadence in the stillness. There was an unmistakable sensation, distinct, not in a negative sense, somewhat more subdued than normal. Even more. "Are you all right, Grandma?" From the other bed, Charles's voice emerged softly. I grinned into the shadows. "Indeed I am well. Merely, rest eludes me." He let out a soft chuckle. "Likewise. Perhaps an excess of coffee during dinner." I shifted onto my side to confront him, despite the fact that his features remained obscured from my view. "Have you ever sensed that time accelerates as you age?" He took a moment to stop. "Indeed. I find myself pondering that quite frequently, to be honest. It feels as though I merely blinked, and now my 20s are nearly behind me." I extended my hand toward the lampchain and tugged it gently. The room settled into a soft twilight, illuminated only by the gentle glow seeping through the window. The moonlight poured in, casting serene stripes upon the floor. In my youth, I murmured, I believed I had all the answers neatly arranged. Union kin aspirations. Yet, life is brimming with unexpected twists. He fell silent once more, attuned to the sounds around him. That has always been one of my favorite things about him. His patience was evident as he refrained from interrupting or hastily responding. I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper, that you have been on my mind quite a bit recently. You have evolved into a remarkably considerate individual, gentle and unwavering. Your mother would surely take pride in you. "Thank you," he murmured softly. "Your words hold great significance for me." Once more we drifted into silence, yet it held no trace of awkwardness. It was heavy with unvoiced sentiments, with recollections and the passage of time, and all the intricate layers that separated us. A gentle rumble of thunder echoed from afar. The arrival of rain caught me off guard, yet somehow it seemed appropriate. A night where the air vibrates with an unspoken energy, lingering just beneath the surface. "May I pose a question to you?" he uttered. "Certainly. Have you ever experienced a sense of loneliness, Even in the company of others? I blinked, momentarily caught off guard. That struck a chord within me more profoundly than I had anticipated. Indeed, I proclaimed, more than I confessed to anyone. He stirred in his bed, then propped himself up. The room glowed faintly as his shadow danced upon the curtains. I suppose I've always felt a special connection to you, he remarked. Your nurturing presence has surpassed that of anyone else in my life. I never truly voiced that before. I propped myself up as well, cocooning myself in the warmth of the blanket draped over my shoulders. My heart raced with a heightened rhythm. There's no need to voice it. I have always been aware. The space seemed to shrink around me. Not in a negative sense, but rather in a way that felt more personal, as if the very walls were attuned to our conversation. Charles rose from his seat and approached the window, gazing out at the rain as it softly tapped against the glass. You've always grasped the depths of my being, he remarked without glancing back. Even in silence, my thoughts spoke volumes. I rose as well, moving softly to his side. The rain traced lazy patterns on the glass, illuminated by the fleeting glow of passing headlights. I remarked that you are quite straightforward. It seems you rarely allow others the opportunity to attempt. At last he turned his gaze toward me. In his eyes there lingered an unspoken depth. Neither sorrow nor yearning, but rather a gentle warmth. Filled with gratitude, he confessed, you're the only person with whom I feel truly authentic. I can simply be myself. A peculiar warmth unfurled within my chest, neither inappropriate nor uncomfortable. A subtle acknowledgement of the bond that exists, of a significance that transcends mere titles or roles. I extended my hand, softly placing it upon his arm. With me there's no need for pretense. We lingered in that moment, time stretching around us. Take your time, there's no need to hurry. Only the rain, the stillness, and a subtle movement in the air that lies between us. And while the night unfolded without further incident, an undeniable shift occurred. Something significant. Thus it marked merely the inception. As dawn broke, the rain had retreated, leaving behind a pavement that glistened and sparkled in the soft embrace of the morning sun. As I drew back the curtains with deliberate care, the golden light poured into the room, illuminating the space where Charles lay peacefully asleep in the other bed. He lay on his side, serene, reminiscent of the boy to whom I once narrated bedtime tales. At this moment, he had become a man, and the burden of the years that separated us seemed oddly insubstantial. With a hushed grace, I slipped into my clothes and made my way down to the hotel cafe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and golden, toasted bread wafted through the air, enveloping the space in a warm, comforting embrace of the everyday. I settled by the window, cradling a delicate white porcelain cup, yet my thoughts wandered relentlessly to the events of the previous night. Not to anything overly dramatic or scandalous, but to the subtle yet profound intensity of that conversation. His gaze upon me was something to behold, the sensation of being truly acknowledged. When Charles joined me a bit later, he offered that gentle, bashful smile of his. Rested adequately. I inclined my head in agreement. At long last. And you? Indeed. It proved beneficial. Speaking in such a manner. He swirled his coffee, his gaze locked on the dancing cream. I rarely share my thoughts and feelings so openly with others. I am aware. I spoke softly. That is the reason it held significance. We exchanged no further words, yet an unspoken shift lingered in the atmosphere surrounding us. Not strained, merely a fresh form of intimacy, as if an unseen presence had gently eased the air around us, and we both sensed it. Following breakfast, we strolled leisurely along the marina, the sun gently warming our backs. The boats swayed softly in their berths, while the wind wafted the fragrance of salt and seagrass through the air. Charles shared with me the intricacies of his work, the relentless pressure, the looming deadlines, and the quiet solitude that accompanied his constant need to embody strength. He confessed, "You'd think by now I would have found someone. A companion to share this with." My eyes flickered in his direction. "Seems you possess more time than you realize. Moreover, not everyone discovers connection through conventional means." He cast me a curious glance. "Do you truly believe that?" A smile graced my lips. "Having traversed the years, I've come to understand that love often dances to its own rhythm, defying the constraints of convention. At times, it appears in the most unexpected places. A silence enveloped us as we walked, a contemplative one, and I noticed the way his fingers fidgeted at his side, as if yearning to extend yet holding back. I didn't either. Not at that moment. We were in the midst of unraveling the essence of this newfound intimacy, pondering its significance. Upon returning to the hotel, we took a moment to unwind in the afternoon. I perched on the edge of my bed, engrossed in a book, while Charles reclined, his eyes shut, one arm draped lazily over his forehead. "Share a glimpse of your past with me," he said unexpectedly. "A secret that remains hidden from all." I lifted my gaze from the pages, taken aback. "What is the reason behind this?" He smiled, his eyes remaining closed. "I seek to understand each of you in your entirety, beyond just the version shaped by grandmotherly tales." That line resonated profoundly within me. "Very well," I remarked, setting the book aside. At the age of 21, I found myself on the brink of escaping to Paris with a man I had known for merely a week. He possessed a wild charm. And in those moments, I found myself yearning to be someone entirely different. "What held you back?" he inquired. I came to understand that I didn't have to become another version of myself. I simply yearned for recognition. Yet, it wasn't until much later that the realization dawned on me. He lifted his eyelids and gazed in my direction. "I perceive you, Lissa. Neither as a role nor as a title. Only you." My breath hitched, not in surprise, but from a warmth that ran deeper, stirring something within me. A long dormant part of me began to awaken, stirring softly after years of silence. That evening we lingered in the room, ordered a light dinner, and watched as the rain returned in gentle, steady sheets. Our conversation was sparse, not in words, yet the silence around us brimmed with meaning. He reclined on one bed while I occupied the other, our gazes fixed on the silent television, each of us feigning interest. He rose from his seat and made his way to the modest kitchenette to fetch a glass of water. The gentle glow of the lamp cast shadows across his face, accentuating the lines that spoke of time and experience. There was a depth in his eyes that held my attention as he shifted his gaze back to me. "You always style your hair the same way," he remarked. A chuckle escaped my lips. "Routine. What is the reason behind this?" "There is no reason. I simply enjoy it. It embodies your essence perfectly." He placed the glass in my hand and settled beside me on the bed, a silence enveloping us like a soft blanket. The bed sank slightly beneath his weight, our shoulders grazing against each other, a subtle touch that sent a soft shiver coursing down my spine. "I'm glad you came with me," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. This was something I never realized I truly needed. I echoed the sentiment, I replied. At times, we remain blissfully unaware of what eludes us, until we find ourselves in close proximity to it. He gazed at me then, truly gazed, and for an instant time stood still. His eyes held a gravity, neither demanding nor invasive, simply existing in the moment. A bond that unfolds unexpectedly, nurtured with patience and tenderness. I held my gaze steady. He did not either. And though neither of us stirred, nor did we make contact, an unspoken connection flowed between us, subtle yet deep, as if two fragments acknowledged their place within the same narrative, even if the outside world failed to grasp the chapters. We both glanced back at the flickering screen, yet our eyes were not truly upon it. We were attuned to another sound, a deeper resonance within, and it continued to reveal itself. As dawn approached, I found myself awake before the sun, enveloped in the serene hush of our room. The light beyond the window was a deep shade of blue, embodying that early hour which carried an undeniable truth. I propped myself up in bed, observing Charles as he lay peacefully across the room, his chest rising and falling in a gentle, soothing cadence. I couldn't tell you how long I remained there, motionless and silent, yet in that instant, I sensed I was teetering on the brink of a truth I had long been reluctant to acknowledge. Uncertainty enveloped me, a sensation that felt like warmth, perhaps, or a yearning that remained unnamed. As Charles stirred and finally opened his eyes, a gentle smile graced his lips, unhurried and genuine, radiating warmth and familiarity. "Good morning," he remarked. "Good morning," I responded, maintaining a cheerful tone. Silence enveloped us as we prepared, words unspoken between us. He attended a late breakfast meeting with a few local business partners, and I mentioned that I would remain indoors, perhaps taking a stroll by the water later on. He paused at the threshold, an unspoken weight in the air, as if there were more to convey, yet silence prevailed. He offered another smile and remarked, "See you in a bit." As the door clicked shut behind him, a breath escaped my lips, one I hadn't even known I was holding. I lingered at the window, observing the cars glide past, individuals going about their lives as if nothing had changed. Yet I stood apart. Something had stirred within me, an unexpected revelation, and I found myself in need of time to comprehend its depths. That afternoon I strolled to the marina, allowing the sea breeze to dance through my hair. As I settled onto the bench, gazing out at the vast expanse of water, my mind wandered through the tapestry of my life, Richard, the years woven with routine and gentle affection, and the solitude that had insidiously enveloped me, much like a creeping fog. I cherished my husband with the profound affection that only comes from years of shared life together. Yet, within me lay fragments that had slumbered for such an eternity, I had nearly forgotten their existence. And now, here they found themselves fully awake. As the evening wore on, Charles made his way back to the room. He appeared weary yet somehow more unburdened. He shed his shoes and collapsed onto the bed, releasing a weary sigh. "How did your day unfold?" he inquired, his eyes shut tight. "Calm," I declared. "Contemplative." He smiled, his eyes remaining closed. "Likewise." For a time we lingered in that comfortable stillness. Suddenly he sat up and asked, "Can we talk about last night?" A subtle jolt coursed through my chest. "Certainly." He faced me, his demeanor earnest yet relaxed. "All day long my mind has wandered to it, not in an odd manner but rather there was a feeling that stirred within me. It felt as though we had crossed a threshold, yet it was not one that led us astray. It felt as though we had stepped into a realm we had both been deliberately sidestepping." I inclined my head with deliberation. "I experienced it as well. It transcended mere conversation," he remarked. "It was truly extraordinary. It's an experience unlike any I've encountered, not with another soul." His words were not without purpose. They exercised caution. Honorable. And that is precisely what caused them to settle so profoundly. "I haven't either, I confess." He gazed at me then with that same gentle warmth, the kind that offered no judgment or haste, the sort that hears, even in the silence of unspoken words. "I understand how it may come across," he remarked. "I understand how the world would perceive it. Yet I am also aware of this. This experience resonates with authenticity, providing a sense of security and truthfulness." A lump formed in my throat, not out of shame or confusion, but from the pure relief of feeling truly understood. He expressed his reluctance to overstep. "I simply had to share this with you." I extended my hand, taking his with a soft and deliberate touch. "You did not overstep, Charles. Your words resonate with the emotions I've been harboring as well." He exhaled, as if he had been restraining it for an eternity. "What shall we do with this?" I hesitated before responding. My gaze fell upon our intertwined hands. My hands, marked by time, contrasted with his, strong and warm, as I reflected on the rarity of such a connection. Not prohibited, not outrageous, merely surprising and indisputable. After a moment of contemplation, I finally spoke up, suggesting that we allow it some space. Allow it to exist as it is, without the pressure of molding it into an ill-suited form. There is no necessity for a definition. Honesty and kindness are all we truly require. His fingers gently curled around mine. I am capable of accomplishing that task. I desire to. That evening we cast aside all pretense. We nestled together on the bed, the flickering images of the movie playing in the background, our focus drifting far from the screen. Our shoulders brushed against each other. Our hands remained intertwined. Time flowed gently, unburdened by haste or purpose. Only existence. As the hour grew late and the world outside quieted, he turned to me with a question lingering in his eyes. Would it be peculiar if I remained here, in this bed, simply to sleep? I understood his meaning. He sought nothing beyond intimacy, the solace of companionship, a refuge from solitude. "No," I stated firmly. "It would not be unusual." We nestled beneath the covers, positioning ourselves back to back initially, akin to two souls gradually acclimating to a fresh dialect. At last, I sensed his hand brush softly against mine once more, and I chose not to withdraw. The silence that enveloped us was rich, laden with unasked questions, profound understanding, and a connection that defied explanation. In that room, bathed in the gentle glow of the lamp and accompanied by the soothing hum of the heater, I experienced a vitality I hadn't felt in years. Not due to matters of the heart. Not due to any transgressions of rules or violations of boundaries. Yet, it was due to the fact that someone had laid eyes upon me, every part of me, and I had allowed them to do so. The morning sunlight filtered gently through the beige hotel curtains, caressing the edges of the bed even before I stirred from my slumber. I remained beside Charles, though a few respectful inches now lay between us, our bodies angled slightly inward, akin to two individuals who had concluded an extensive dialogue, finding solace in the quiet that enveloped us. At first, my eyes fluttered open. In that fleeting instant, the surroundings slipped from my mind. In the stillness of the room, there was no husband in the adjacent space, no familiar routine beckoning for attention. Only I, my musings, and the gentle cadence of Charles's breath beside me. I shifted my gaze and regarded him. His countenance bore a tranquil, almost peaceful expression. He appeared somehow rejuvenated, as though he had shed a weight that had long pressed upon him. Oddly enough, I found myself feeling the same way. As he stirred, our eyes locked in an instant. There was no surprise, no discomfort, merely a silent recognition of the bond we had forged. "Good morning," he murmured gently. "Good morning," I responded. We lingered in that moment, the stillness enveloping us, until he gradually rose, stretching his limbs with a languid grace. "It seems that this may have been the finest slumber I've experienced in many months." A smile graced my lips. "I feel the same way." We rose and began to traverse the room, collecting our belongings. The day of departure had arrived. The weekend slipped away more swiftly than I had anticipated, yet it seemed as though we had experienced an entire year within those 2 nights. In the midst of packing, our actions unfolded with a delicate, contemplative grace. There were no grand proclamations, no necessity to categorize or elucidate the events that had unfolded. Instead, there was a subtle elegance to it all, as if we had shared in a unique experience together. "I've been pondering," Charles remarked, zipping up his duffel bag, "about how we proceed from here, how we bear this." I raised my gaze from the confines of my suitcase. "Same here. I don't want to lose what we found," he said, his voice unwavering. "Yet I am aware that it is not straightforward. We return to our abode. We resume our existence. Yet I yearn to preserve this honesty, this intimacy forever vibrant." I inclined my head in agreement. "We shall. For the simple reason that it is genuine. For we are acutely aware of the distinction between the ephemeral and that which holds true significance." He smiled, and in that fleeting instant, I caught a glimpse of the boy he once was. Exposed, receptive, and full of faith. A sense of pride washed over me, not solely for him, but for the shared space we had cultivated together. A realm where we can embrace our true selves, unencumbered by facades or trepidation. The journey back was largely serene. Gentle melodies floated from the radio, while the road unfurled, vast and desolate, before me. In a moment that felt suspended in time, Charles leaned in and softly laid his hand atop mine, allowing it to rest on the center console. Not a single word escaped my lips. I simply flipped my hand and rested it against his back. The silence required no embellishment from us. It brimmed with memory, with understanding, with an essence that endures. As we arrived at my house, an unfamiliar ache settled in my chest. No regrets. Not sorrow. The mere awareness that a beautiful transformation was on the verge of unfolding once more. We had entered a new phase of our relationship, and while it would transform upon our return to the outside world, its essence would remain subtle and steadfast. Charles switched off the engine and fixed his gaze upon me. "Are you all right?" he inquired. I smiled and reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind his ear as I once did in his childhood. "Beyond satisfactory." He leaned closer, pressing his lips gently against my forehead, his hand lingering in mine. "I appreciate all that you have done. For arriving. For the act of witnessing my presence. And thank you," I murmured, my voice soft, "for reminding me that I still exist. There exist fragments of my being that remain intact. simply overlooked. He assisted me with my bags, and I observed as he departed down the road, his car diminishing into the horizon. As I crossed the threshold into my abode, the familiar surroundings greeted me with an air of unchanging sameness. The photographs resting on the mantel, the well-loved cushions of the couch, the rhythmic ticking of the aged wall clock. Yet I stood apart. As I wandered through the stillness of the house, my fingers grazed the kitchen counter and the worn edges of the furniture, each touch igniting a sense of familiarity, as if I were encountering them anew. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I brewed a comforting cup of tea and settled into my cherished chair by the window. The sky was painted with hues of orange and lavender, and for the first time, I felt a sense of companionship. Not as I once did. For now, a spark within me had been reignited, a serene revelation, a bond that transcended the confines of rules and expectations, rooted instead in the profound act of witnessing and being witnessed. By selecting authenticity over artifice, and while I understood that life would continue its relentless march, as it invariably does, I was acutely aware that the memory of that hotel room, that rainy night, and the gentle whisper of something fresh blossoming between us would remain etched in my mind forever. It had transformed me, for all eternity,